Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another tutorial in our Java tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we are going to be covering how we go about moving files to and from different locations on your system inside of Java. Now, if you look in our Project Explorer, you can see we have two test files inside of a temp folder. We're going to move those files outside of that temp folder, and then we're going to move them back in, to show you that we can move them back and forth and all that jazz, right? So, to get started, once again, you need your try-catch, because you need to catch some possible exceptions. Again, I chose to just do the IO exception because that's the most common. But, like I've said numerous times before, go about it the way that you feel. If you want to do the more generic errors and chain the catches, go for it. That's on you. If you want to go more generic and just do exception, that's also okay too. So, inside of our try block, what we're going to do is, like we did in the previous two tutorials with copying and deleting files, is we're going to prompt the user, hey, do you want to move these files to this location? So first, let's define those paths, the source and then the target, right? So path, we're going to call this original. We're going to set it equal to paths.get. And inside of the get, we're going to say the original is going to be temp / test test-1.txt, and then path destination is going to be path.get test-1.txt. You can say, oh, we want to move it with a different name. You could do that, but typically that's not what you're going to want to do, so we're not going to demonstrate that. That is something I'll leave to you guys to experiment with. As with everything else, I'm not showing you every possible way that you can use something, because I want you guys to experiment, figure this stuff out for yourself, so that way you'll actually have a better understanding of it. You'll be able to learn so much easier that way. So, anyway, we have our two paths. Now, again, like we have done in the previous two tutorials, we created a scanner. You've heard this stuff before. So scanner, system in, just like that, right? String choice, set it equal to an empty string for now. System out, print line, or not even print line, just print. Are you sure you want to move this file from, and then we'll say original.to absolute path to, and then destination.to absolute path. And at the end, we'll have a question mark and a tab. And so now we will set choice equal to scanner.nextLine. right? And then we test to see if choice dot equals ignore case. Yes, if it's yes, then we want to do this. Otherwise, we want to test if choice equals ignore case is equal to no. And if it's not no, it's something completely different. And if it's something completely different, we want to go system out print line and say, sorry, we didn't recognize your response. As a result, we didn't move the file. Right, and then if it's no, we want to output to the console. Okay. We didn't move the file. And now, if it's a yes, we want to move the file. So, how do we move a file then? Well, it's pretty simple. We go files dot, and then there's a move method. Files dot move, and this will take in a source path and a target path, as well as some optional copy options. We may as well go through them right now, so you guys kind of have an idea of what kind of options you can use here. I usually haven't gone through them, but they can be useful. So let's go ahead and go through them. Inside of the documentation here, you can see we've got a couple different options. The first one is replace _ existing. And what this does is basically if the target file already exists, it will basically go in and replace it. It won't throw an exception if you have this applied to it, because there is an exception that can get thrown called file already exists exception, and if you don't have this option, it'll throw it if it exists, basically. Atomic move, the description for that is right here. So you can kind of read through this as well, but those are really the only options that you have for this particular method. You can read through it. There's a lot of documentation, different examples. You can see the different exceptions that it throws. For example, unsupported operation exception, file already exists exception, directory not empty exception. You know, those kinds of different things. Atomic move not supported exception, IO exception, security exception, you know, that kind of stuff. If you want to catch all those different kinds of exceptions and handle each one of those differently, you can absolutely do that. Otherwise, you can choose to be a little bit more generic. It's really up to you, but let's move on here. We've got no pun intended. So, like I said, in the move method, this will take in a source path as well as a target, and then it will take in some copy options that we don't necessarily need, but they are there if you want to use them. So our source path is our original path here. And then our target is our destination. And then we don't need the options. Right? So looks like we have an error here. Let's hover over this and see what we did wrong. Syntax error on token closing parenthesis. And this is on line, yeah, this is on the line that we're on. Yes. I have one extra closing parenthesis that I should not have. And delete that. There we go. Everything gets its syntax highlighting like it should. Save it. And then we will run it. And we still have an error. Where is this error at? Path.get. We want it to be paths.get. Okay. Now, let's go ahead, find the run button here, and run it. Go ahead and save that. Okay. So now we get our prompt. Are you sure you want to move this file from, and then it gives the from path, and then it gives the to path. Let's say something random. You can see it says, sorry, we didn't recognize your response. As a result, the file was not moved. Right? Just like we expected. If we run it again and we input no, it shouldn't move it either. So go ahead and put in no. Okay, and it says, okay, we didn't move the file. Great. Exactly like we expected. Then let's try to run it again. And let's put in yes this time. When we put in yes, and we go over here to our temp folder, go ahead and refresh, and you can see now we no longer have two files inside of the temp folder. Let's refresh the entire project. And you can see that folder, that folder no longer has the test file in it, but it's now moved outside of that temp folder and into the project folder. So with that, what if we want to move it back then? What if we want to move it back in? Well, what you can do at that point then is where you call the move method to move your file, just switch the destination and target around. So in this case, we want to target, or we want the destination to, we want that to be what we want to move. So destination, and then the target will be the original location. Let's go ahead then and run this code. Save it. All right, let's go ahead and say yes. Boom. Right? So let's go to the project, and then we will refresh. And you can see it's now back inside of the inside of the temp folder. And one thing I should also note, if your computer has a hard drive LED light indicator, it should blink when you do these sorts of things, so you know it's doing something at least. However, typically it's going to be blinking as it's doing other stuff in the background too, but on occasion it might not be doing anything, and when you move a file with your Java code, it'll blink because your hard drive is technically doing stuff when you're doing that. So that basically does it for this video, guys, on how we move files to and from directories in Java. So thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you all in the next video. See ya.